وَلَا تَجِدُوا أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. The shaitan said, because you, O Allah, because you put me in error, it was your mistake. And then what he does is goes on to challenge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he says, I will surely sit and wait for them on the straight path. So the biggest target for the shaitan are people who are actually trying to make a path back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that are on the straight path. That's really where he's at. On your way to the masjid, waking up for Fajr, or anything you're trying to do to get closer to Allah, that's really where he's waiting. And then he goes on to then Allah shows us the imagery of his attacks, as if you're being attacked by a swarm of bees from every direction, and you feel helpless because his agenda is to consistently work, and he doesn't take any break. And that should really wake us up on the fact that shaitan actually has goals, and he has aspirations, and he has commitment to his goals. So what about the believers, right? We can't take it easy, and we can't just relax when we know that the enemy is continuously working against us. So here the imagery is that I will come to them, before them, from behind them, from their right and from their left, and you will find, then he's challenging Allah and saying himself that you will find most of them to be among the not among the shakirin, the ones who are ungrateful. And ungratefulness also leads to disbelief, because what is atheism? It's basically ungratefulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The moment they become an atheist, the Quran's very first word is Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, that all the praise and gratitude belongs to Allah. So the moment you have shut down the concept of Alhamdulillah, the rest of the book is closed for you. And so they don't even understand the very first word of the Quran when they deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But something I found really interesting here, and the scholars have commented, that there are two directions he didn't mention that he will attack from. One is from below them and one from above. And the scholars have gone to explain that from above you receive revelation. So if you're connected to the Quran, he has less of an effect on you. And on the ground is when you're in sajda. And Sheikh Shanawi, he's been picked up as an instructor of Al-Maghrib. He recently gave a course. He's done a course called Flawless about tazkiyah and purification of the heart. And he was talking about a woman who accepted Islam while watching a show called Sleeper Cell on Netflix, which is all about promoting Muslims as terrorists. And the person who's portrayed as a terrorist, he goes in sajda as to show that that's how they pray. And the show is obviously promoting Muslims in the wrong way. But when she saw him going into prostration, she said, this is the religion that I want to follow. Whatever this man is doing, that's my religion, and that's how she accepted Islam. So the more you try to attack Islam, the higher up it comes, right? The techniques and whatever they use against Muslims, it actually backfires many times, because that's what people find attractive, because they didn't even pay attention to the sajda or the way he was worshiping, but it attracted someone towards Islam. So the point is, when we're in sajda, that's when you're closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are two of the strongest weapons against the shaitan is the Quran, because that's wahi from above, and our sajda, and meaning your worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second reason why ghafla is dangerous is because shaitan comes directly to people who are in state of ghafla. When a person is not in a state of ghafla and they are up on their game and they are keeping track of when they go down, so they come right back up, and they make quick adjustments in their lives and they don't let their iman go down consistently, then he has to do indirect ways to attack them. He will attack their sunnahs or change their priorities, or he would use things that are mubah, things that are permissible, but make them indulge in it too much. For example, food, most of the food is halal, but it's not just about halal, it's also about what you're intaking, because even halal food, too much of it will destroy your health. And when that happens, it actually destroys your faith. So there's connections. So instead of coming attacking your faith, he will start with food. He will make you indulge in things that are halal, but get you to a point where you actually get lazy, tired, and then it starts affecting your worship, and so on and so forth. But when a person is in a state of ghafla, that's a direct access for the shaitan to be able to attack that person. So that's the second reason why it's very dangerous. And thirdly, just to really quickly touch upon it, is knowledge itself is not sufficient for us to keep us away from ghafla, because the most knowledgeable person about everything from day one is, if you think about it, is shaitan. Right? He was in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows our weaknesses. He has access to our thoughts. So this is an enemy that has a lot of abilities to be able. He can see us, we can't see him, and he has access to our thoughts. If you think about that, that's kind of mind-boggling. How much when we let go of our guard, how much access he has to us. So Imam Malik, rahimahullah, who wrote the Muwatta, which, but we have Bayyana students here. Do you guys study the Muwatta in your 4th year, 5th year, or is it? I'm sure you hear about it all the time, right? So that's a compilation of a great work that Imam Malik did, and it's even studied till this day among the scholars. But this is the same man who's saying that knowledge is not knowing many narrations. Knowledge is a light that Allah places in the heart. So a lot of us, we could hear one hadith and impacts your life, and it changes your life completely. And another person could memorize the whole Bukhari, but it has no effect, because you have to have purification of the heart constantly, and that comes through consistent ibadah, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when we make a mistake, to return back to Allah immediately. So inshallah, we'll continue next time on discussing more of the cures. The one action item is for us to go to Surah Al-Takathur. That really describes how ghafla takes place, because the love of this dunya takes over, and whatever the love of the akhirah, it kind of starts getting replaced by the love of the dunya. So the formula is simple. If you love akhirah, dunya will come to you. But if you love only the dunya, akhirah, the more bigger and important things, they start to fither away, and our priorities get affected. So may Allah protect us from ghafla and use us for good cause and to bring people closer to Allah. Subhanakallah bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.